आओ इधर आओ, come here, all of you. ये कितना बोरिंग है, इसको हटाओ. अच्छा, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a surprise and a pleasant one. Yes, online students, on your behalf also. So some of the students here, the class was magnanimous to arrange for this with some candles that reflects my age. Okay, so without any multiples. Okay, there are 6 candles. I will not apply any multiples there. Okay, thank you so much. Bless you. But I must thank the faculty's team that we have. We have Devinder sir, we have Uttam sir, Ajay sir, and Banke sir. My heartfelt gratitude to all the students, to all the teachers here. केक चाहिए? हाँ, आपने वर्चुअल मांगे, हम वर्चुअल भेज देंगे. ठीक है, अलग अलग एंगल से फोटोग्राफ भेजेंगे आपको. ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच. एंड while it is, अच्छा ये मेल्ट हो जाएगा. बिफोर दैट, व्हाई डोंट यू डू द ऑनर्स? ओके, तो फूक देते हैं. मैं तो करूंगा, मेरा एज. ओके, थैंक यू सो मच. काटो. थैंक यू. नहीं, आई विल डू द ऑनर्स.
नहीं सर, पहले आप.
मैं छोटा हूँ. ये दोस्तों, thank you so much, all of you, online, offline. Yeah, I will share the photographs also with you. Some of them are doing their honors. Flowers also, you know. Class to दिखाओ. अच्छा, they want to see. Class में है भी नहीं बच्चे, ऐसे बोल रहे हैं. Let me turn the camera. Thank you so much. That's a formality. Thank you so much. So that is the maximum the camera can turn. Yeah, देखा? Your friends are sitting here. There. They are sure wishing. Hello everyone. You know, just say hello so that they know that you are in life and blood and posters. Hi friends from Anu, Ajay, from Sujit, Tamil, Tamil what? Elvin, Mithila, Yamala, Nidhi, Sudhyansh. All of them are saying hi to all of you. And the classroom is also saying hi to all of you. There. Thanks, all of you. Have a nice day. Thank you. Class के बाद में you all have your share and we go. इसको ना class के बाद में. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उठाओ। इसके थोड़ा पोंछवा देना, अभी पानी गीला करके भिजवा दो। थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू। हाँ, क्लास के बाद केक मिलेगा, आपको आना पड़ेगा यहाँ पर। थैंक यू पुष्पेंद्र, छाया, प्रेमबाग, शुभ्रा सिंह, थैंक यू सो मच। One of the students of the previous batches, not one, quite a few of them for that matter, they meet me sometimes after the course is over. They meet me on the streets or on the metro, or for some reasons we come face to face, and I ask them कि क्या हुआ, दिखाई नहीं दे रहे हो, या फिर I've not seen you as often as I used to. One common reason students give me is, sir, and very embarrassingly, sheepishly, sir, prelims nahi hua, yeah, I couldn't qualify, and I was too ashamed to come and meet you, and it's embarrassing and all of that. See, as teachers, and for that matter, as parents also, somewhere, I think we have an extended role. The only thing as a teacher I seek out of you is your commitment to work. And results, we know, is not easy. There are many things which must fall in place for the results to happen. And that is not only about studies and books. At the end of the day, I think some destiny also plays a role. You ultimately go where some things are aligned for you. So one of the biggest gifts that you can give your parents is not the success that you achieve. It's not that you have become a great man, which I wish all of you in some ways contribute in a big way, ladies, girls, women, boys, men, all of you. But the biggest gift, I think, as parents, you can give them is your sincere efforts to become a good human being. Whereas as teachers, okay, the biggest gift you can give us is the sincerity of efforts. बाकी सब में पता है बच्चे, nobody's life goes according to the plans, trust me. अगर आप अपने पेरेंट्स से पूछोगे ना, okay, कि पापा मम्मा बताओ आपका लाइफ कितना according to plan गया था, okay, it doesn't happen like that. When I began my career as teacher, I had no clue I will be a teacher. In fact, I told some of the students in the previous batches, when I finished my graduation, unfortunately, I qualified as an engineer. Okay. Unfortunately, because some things are supposed to happen, they are not in my control. But the बाद में समझ में आता है after the first sessional कि यार औकात कितना था engineering वाला. Anyways, I qualified, good, bad, ugly, and I was troubled as to what to do, because I had got into some campus selection also. Again, gratitude in a good company, but somewhere I wanted to do something else. I don't know what was that. So my friends were into a job. That time, IT was a big thing. Okay, I didn't get into IT, but something else. Some friends were getting into MTech, GATE examination. I was never a keen student, so I also gave the GATE examination. People who don't qualify, तब अभी कैसा है पता नहीं. They used to get something called as DNQ, did not qualify. For me and for some of friends, it was a DTA, don't try again types. Okay. So it was as bad. Some of my friends started the business because parents the या whatever legacy they had. And some friends got into MBA management. I was very clear, I will not do management. So karunga kya? Ultimately take up a job. And my father, who also was a teacher in some ways, he told me once, why don't you consider teaching profession? And I got very upset. कि पापा इस पर्सनालिटी में आपको टीचर दिखाई देता है ना, बिकॉज टीचर की इमेज कैसा है, मास्टर जी, ओके, एनी टाइम धोती पहन लूंगा टाइप्स. So I was genuinely offended कि पापा why did you say that? He smiled, he said no, ठीक है, okay, I just suggested, I thought you will be a good teacher, okay, and he kept quiet, he never told anything to me thereafter. I took up my job, did whatever I had to do, then decided the job is not working out. Sometime in my life, in my school days, my grandfather had told me, कहते कहते कह दिया था कि IAS एक बार ट्राई करना, ठीक है, अब क्या बोला था पता नहीं, but it was there always in my mind. So I decided, okay, I will try IAS, and I did what I could have done. 3-4 years of my career, I studied. I'm grateful I went to a good distance. Qualified prelims, mains, interview, जो भी हुआ ठीक है. When then nothing worked out, ultimately I gave my last attempt, it didn't work out. I had one teacher with me, he is now retired, a very inspiring man. I'm lucky to have been part of his classes in the preparation. He said, ki, Shabbir, come and help me in geography. In fact, there were 2-3 teachers in geography. There was Majid Hussain sir. There was one sir called K. Siddhartha. There was one sir called Shashank Atom sir, who had an institute, pretty big one, ALS ke naam se, if you know. Okay, he was there. Then there was a Qureshi sir. I had invited him, some of you may have interacted with him when we launched our book. He was a professor in JNU. So there were 6-7 people from whom I did some bit of learning. Kisi se kuch pad liya, kisi kuch pad liya, and all of them were very generous to accommodate me at my convenience. I joined 2-3 courses, kahin test kiya, kahin kuch kiya. But over time, I learned something on my own. Yes, even Hussain sir was my teacher for a short time. Okay, for some doubts, I went to his house. Okay, it was again gracious of him. Back then, it was very informal that ways. Okay, I knew him in some ways. So one teacher said, "Ki Shabbir, come and help me in some classes." And they gave me one topic, which was to teach about forests, forest types of India. I must have prepared almost a week for that one lecture. I was nervous, kya bolunga, because the classes were big, and but touch wood, it went off fine. I was doing nothing. I had one more attempt, by the way, when I took the first class. Then I got one more invite. Shabbir, take this topic also. ऐसे 2-3 topic ले लिया, and I started enjoying the class. When attempts got over, I got very frustrated. Okay, and end of the world types for me, because nobody ever told me, Shabbir, you will not qualify. They all said you will make it. It was like, I was confident कि ये तो मेरे लिए पक्का है. Okay, matter of time, कब qualify करना है. So जब नहीं हुआ, it was like shattering. Then I took up a wild cross-country travel. Okay, because I had to get mind out of these issues. So I asked my father some money, which was a very small amount of money, couple of thousand rupees, I think 5,000 or 6,000 rupees. He said, okay, because I was touchy. They said, kuch mana mat karo, pata nahi kya kar jayega types. I took a small bag. Okay, I had a pair of chappals, one set of clothes. Okay, and I went off. I went off, train se, yahan, wahan, whatever. I went to as far as Sikkim. Okay, no plan, nothing. Get off a train, another train, get off a another train. Okay, it was a difficult phase for me for a couple of months. Then I came back, another teacher of mine. Okay, back then when I gave the attempts, we had 2 optionals. And I have tried 3-4 optionals. I began with mathematics, tried physics, tried public administration, I tried geography, and I also studied psychology. Finally, I stuck with geography and psychology. The psychology teacher, again, I think some of you know him, the very big name, Mukul Pathak sir. Okay, he told me, Shabbir, come and teach. मैं कहा कुछ भी नहीं है, पैसे भी नहीं है, क्या करूं? Sir, okay, I'll teach some classes. That's how I got a break. And then one thing led to another. My dream was something else. Okay. But looking back, I think it was destined. The activities in my school life, my activities in my college life, the competitions I used to participate in, my reading habits, whatever I read, अब देखता हूँ लगता है it's like it was all falling into place. कि like मुझे इसीलिए ट्रेन किया जा रहा था. I did not know that. Now what Steve Jobs says, no, looking back you can join the dots. Okay. So looking back, I think teacher ही बनना था मुझे. And then when I became a teacher of some reputation, then my father, उनको याद था. Okay. He would smile at me कि बाप हूँ तेरा, I know what you will be good at. Okay. So just recalling on the day that you show your wishes and your respect. So as teachers, I think it has been a long journey for me in many ways. Teaching to tha hi, but immense learning for me. And believe me, much of geography, what I learned, which is again a very small part, I learned largely from your doubts. कि अच्छा ऐसा भी बच्चा सोचता है, and this troubles him. अच्छा ऐसा भी सोचता है, oh, this is what is troubling him. And now I see, again, I must do a lot of learning. But the kind of doubts you guys have are different from the doubts I was asked 3-4 years ago. The challenges you face are very different from challenges my older batches faced. So I tell my students कि ये बहुत अलग है. This generation, okay, post-COVID खासकर, lot of things have changed. So again, it's a learning there for me. But end of the day, all I want to share is, you guys do well in life. Don't be scared. There is something meant for all of you. I'm yet to see an aspirant who has worked even average काम भी किया होगा अगर ना. I've not seen him suffer and live a life of scarcity and poverty. Because the fundamental attribute about all of you is, online, offline, is कि आप ambitious हो. Without ambition, आप class में बैठ नहीं सकते. That's a very important attribute. You might look to be quiet. You might look shy. You might look like somebody who can be pushed over. You might look physically very frail. Okay, but deep inside, all of you have a very powerful fire. Otherwise, IAS के लिए aspire करना अपने आप में, it's a huge challenge. And knowing the kind of odds against you, if I go logically, this is such a bad decision of your life. Right? 6-7 lakh बच्चे देते हैं, couple of thousand get a call for the interview, and how many qualify? So mathematically, it's a terrible decision of your life. Okay, but then I repeat this. Because of the ambitions that you have, one. Number two, the tenacity you have. एक नया subject पढ़ रहे हो, for many of you, no base in that subject, and you're coming daily to class, sitting for 2-3 hours, the tenacity कि समझ में नहीं भी आएगा तब भी बैठा हुआ हूं, and then do 2-3 classes for some of you, यही attribute है which will take you the distance, not your intelligence. The ambition that you have and the willingness to grind yourself and the grit of keeping at it. Sometimes 2-3 years आप कर रहे हो, तो जब आप साइकिल से निकलोगे, गॉड फॉरबिड अगर नहीं होता है, believe me, you will do much better than what you would have done otherwise without this career choice. All we seek out of you as teachers is success is not the criteria. Are you willing to work and be committed to it? That's all. So for all of you, course खत्म होने के बाद में, you don't have to feel ashamed to come to us just because you haven't qualified. That's embarrassing for us. Because अगर वो criteria है, तो बेटा I am the biggest failure, no? Even I have not qualified. And I have taught thousands who haven't qualified. ठीक है? तो अगर success वो measure है, then तो I'm a very big failure. So don't put yourself under that kind of a pressure. This examination is not a test of character, remember this. This examination is a competition, an examination where certain skills are required, which you have or you'll develop it. And end of the day, it's also a job apart from the fact that you had a dream. Don't take it as a statement of your character. कि नहीं हुआ तो I am no good, I am useless. That's such a waste of talent and your age that you have. Okay, so with this, okay, a long message. I thought I'll keep it short, but I got emotional seeing the cake and celebration. Okay. So thanks again for acknowledging. More than me, I think, in some ways, my life is done. Okay, अब जो होगा देखा जाएगा. But the young teachers who are teaching you, that I think is the new shape of things to come across the entire industry. Okay, and I'm happy the teachers who have been with me, trusting me. Okay, so thank you all of you. Sujit, that's a long message. Okay. Oh, you have said more than I deserve, but thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get back to interiors of Earth now. Okay, where we left in the last class. Yes, right, correct. Thank you, Shubhra. Thank you so much. Achha. So, our discussion was, by the way, I'm sorry for yesterday. I could not cancel my meeting. And I think 2-3 of you came to class also. That only told me कि आप परसों नहीं आए थे शायद. You were absent, that's why you came yesterday. Like, or maybe you missed the message. Okay, so inconvenience, I'm sorry. It doesn't happen in my class generally, but then sometimes. Okay. Interiors of Earth. Wow. Okay, fine. Let's get started. Thanks again, all of you. Abhay, Ravina, Sanjeevani, thank you all. Thank you so much. Ishan. Take it. So, interiors of Earth, what we know is that Earth is layered. There is a chemical layering and there is a mechanical layering. I hope you know now, crust, mantle, core, एक scheme है. The other scheme is lithosphere, asthenosphere, mesosphere, barysphere, and so on. So don't confuse, okay, between these two layers. When I say crust, I mean this scheme. When I say asthenosphere, I mean this scheme. The crust and a part of upper mantle together make up lithosphere. The rest of the mantle makes up the asthenosphere. And the lithosphere is up to a depth of 100, and thereafter it's around 300 बोल लो, 400 बोल लो, okay, and so on. Okay, so that you understand. Then we mentioned what are discontinuities. Essentially, they are that depth where one layer ends, another layer starts. So some books write that as a transition zone. It is not a transition zone. Agar transition zone hota, then the zones will have more gradual transitions. It's in some cases almost abrupt. Like one layer ends, another layer starts. That's why we call that as discontinuity. So transition zone description is a wrong description. Okay. But ye bhi jano that this is not a separate layer either. Aisa bhi nahi hai. I give an example, right? That my palm ends and the synthetic starts. Okay. So it's not a layer where the thing happens. It's a depth. At some depth, the skin ends and something else starts. So it is not a layer. It is not even a transition zone. It's basically a depth where, two different type of rocks or two different type of densities or two different type of phase, coexist. One ends, another one starts. Okay, so you know the names as Moho discontinuity, Birch and Gutenberg and Lehman and so on. Okay. The fourth discussion, we had a small note on how the phase changes. Some part of the earth is solid and rigid. Some part of the earth is not as hard, but we have used the term semi-molten. That's because it's a convenient word. Okay, we don't have a better word in English language to describe that type of property. Okay, so semi-molten essentially telling us it is solid, but not a very rigid solid. Under pressure, under some circumstances, that layer can flow. तो हमारे imagination में नहीं हो पा रहा है, but it does happen. You remove the pressure, it again becomes solid. Okay, that's why it's a very unique layer, and that layer does many things about the surface and the dynamics. We'll come back on that afterwards. We talked about the outer core being fluid. It's molten, it's proper molten, low melting point, high temperatures, temperatures crossing 4,000, 5,000 centigrade. Itne hot conditions mein and molten conditions mein, the electrons become loose. The electrons move with the circulating outer core. And this arrangement, the outer core is fluid, the inner core is metal and iron rich. It creates something called as geomagnetism. So I believe yahan tak all of you are good. No issues here. Small doubt, what was that? Yeah, so Ishan, inside the Earth's surface, we have radioactive elements. वो natural है, वो कैसे बने हैं? It's part of the Earth's origin itself. Okay, we have different type of radioactive elements. Uranium is what we know. Apart from uranium, even cobalt has some amount of radioactivity. ऐसे बहुत सारे elements होते हैं. And when they undergo some kind of disintegration or interactions, they can give out heat. Just remember that solution. That there is radioactivity and that can create heat. Both fission reactions when some things break up and even fusion reactions when something combines. Dono case mein, you'll have heat energy. And that's how the nuclear power plant works as a source of energy. Just remember that much so that you understand. And the second thing was about the temperature variations. ऐसा कोई specific trend नहीं है. What I know is if I go deep down, it becomes more and more hotter. Okay, some parts are very hot because of radioactivity, some parts hot as a part of the residual heat. Okay, some parts जहाँ पर trenches हैं, some parts where there's a magmatic flow happening, the magma moving. So I gave you some data there. कहीं पर 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Okay, temperatures vary inside the Earth. And finally, okay, having known all of this, the next question is, okay, how do we know all of this? How do we know? Talking about the evidences of the Earth's interiors. Yes, Sohail, you're right. Okay, all concepts जब आप पहली बार पढ़ोगे, I'm sure you will have confusions, and that's why I make you write whatever I teach. घर जाके दोबारा पढ़ो in the one sequence. Trust me, आपको समझ में आएगा. और ना है तो I'm there. Ask me again. So I'm happy you understood eventually. So evidences में, I said Earth is very large. The radius being 6400 kilometers. Udyashil, what was that? Udyashil, the silica content of the outer core is not as much as to make the outer core acidic. ऐसा नहीं होता है. वो अभी भी ultra basic ही होगा. Okay. But its impact is that the melting point becomes less. It's not that its pH changes dramatically. Hota hoga, I'm not saying no, but nothing significance that we should know. You just know the impurities of silica, they impact the melting point. Don't bother about the pH value. Okay. So evidences mein, it is impossible that we can go there and see. Okay. So we study things through volcanoes, through meteorites. I give an idea of density studies. We talked about studies, okay, related to some observations at the trenches. So one paragraph ki haan, theek hai, we can study. But the more reliable evidences are the study of the earthquake waves. I'm not concerned, is study mein, I'm not concerned about how earthquakes happen. मुझे वो नहीं जानना. मुझे बस जानना है the energy coming out of earthquakes, how does that behave? And based on the behavior, I can tell what the medium is. Okay, so it's a method of indirect analysis. It's a indirect method. Okay, मुझे दिखाई तो नहीं दे रहा है. It's like, maybe for some reasons I can't see, or I'm not seeing things. But indirectly, by hearing how things sound, by hearing how some things probably feel, I can guess what the object may be. If something feels something, oh, this is plastic. It feels, oh, this is maybe something else. So indirectly, I have the earth with me, and there is some earthquake source there, और यहाँ से wave निकल रहा है. I have some mechanisms to know how the wave is behaving here. I have some mechanisms to know how the wave behaves here, how the wave behaves here. How do we know that? That's again a different aspect of geophysics. But I can know that. Because it behaves like B1, the material is M1. Because the behavior here is B2, the material is probably M2. The behavior here is B3 behavior, the material here is M3. That's how I correlate. I correlate the wave's behavior. And when I say wave ka behavior kya hai, I am studying the speed of the wave, I study the path of the wave. ये दो हम चीज पढ़ते हैं. How fast they move or how slow they move. A layer which is rigid and dense, the speed will increase. A layer which is not dense and it is softer, okay, the speed will fall down. And they have a correlationship. क्या इतना गिरेगा, this is what the material is. For every material, we know how the waves will behave. Okay, so we study the speed and the path. Are they going straight? Are they turning refraction? Are they reflecting back? We study the path. The speed and the path, they tell us what type of rocks are in the interiors of the earth. This is the fundamental philosophy. I think ये part हम लिखा है last time आपने. Then just to understand what the waves and why they behave, we said that you must know that we are studying the body waves, and in the body waves we are studying P waves and we are studying S waves. Okay, P waves, also primary waves. P waves are one type of waves called as longitudinal waves. See, I know some of you do not have science background, okay, and you may have done some physics, but you have forgotten. It doesn't matter. You don't need to have physics knowledge here. Okay, you just have to know these terms, और दो तीन बार सुन लो, वो याद हो जाएगा. Okay, so P wave, primary wave, and longitudinal wave. S wave is the secondary wave. It's also called as transverse. Transverse is an English word. Transverse का मतलब होता है across. Okay. So along, longitudinal, across is so across, transverse. I hope that rhymes in some ways for you. Which is that if the energy is moving in some direction, so the energy moves in some direction. Energy is moving like this. Then the particle can either vibrate along the axis, or the particle can vibrate perpendicular, or the vibrate can also vibrate like this. समझ में आ रहा है कैसे ये वाला? This is on the plane parallel vibration. This is on the vertical plane and this along the axis. ये भी transverse है, ये भी transverse है, और ये वाला जो है longitudinal. Okay? So when I say transverse, it can be on the same plane, the energy going like this, okay, from the boat towards you, and the particle vibrates like this, or the particle vibrates up and down. In both cases, it is 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees here, and in this case, this is 90 degrees here. ये वाला जो है, the vibration is along the axis. We call this as longitudinal waves. I hope the diagram is fine, all of you. Okay. Speed of S wave, yes, in general, Kasif, you are right. The S waves are slower than the P waves. Can the waves refract? Absolutely, Rajat. Okay. Any waves can refract when the change of median happens. We'll come back on that. Wait. So remember this, okay? And these waves, P and the S waves, दोनों केस में, I said the velocity is positively correlated with the density. The velocity is again positively correlated with rigidity. Okay, and the velocity therefore is a function of what type of material. And then I made a statement, agar P waves hain, P waves can pass through liquids, through gases, and through solids. S waves can pass through only solids. They cannot pass through liquids, they can't pass through gas. Okay, so P waves require rigidity. Rigid का मतलब क्या होता है? Okay, it is able to maintain its shape. That's rigid. Water is not rigid. It can flow. वो shape maintain नहीं करता है. A solid can maintain its shape. And more rigid का मतलब है it's more hard. Okay, so for example, I have got a guitar and I tighten the string. Okay, if I tighten the string, that string becomes rigid. So I can pluck the guitar and I have got a vibration. If you loosen the string, मतलब the string has lost rigidity. उसको फिर आप बजा नहीं सकते as a part of some musical instrument. So you remember, इसमें there's nothing to really think too much. There's a property है तो है, that's it. P waves have some properties and the S waves have some property. S waves, they can pass only through solids and the P waves can pass through all the mediums. However, in the solids, it is the fastest. In the gases, it becomes the slowest, like sound wave. Sound passes fastest on an or through an iron rod. It will pass a bit more slowly in water. In the air, it passes the slowest. So velocity of sound in dry air and moist air alag alag hoga. Okay, so just know that. That's the property that we have of these waves. Kya hua, Shivani? Okay, what did you miss? I am redrawing for your benefit. That's your direction of the wave. Imagine the wave is moving, the energy is moving like this. Okay, so the particle can vibrate along the axis to and fro. It can vibrate along the axis to and fro. or it can vibrate, okay, up and down, or it can vibrate across on the plane of the wave. Okay, ये across चल रहा है बेटा, इससे ज्यादा डिपिक्शन मैं कैसे कराऊं? Okay, along the axis, perpendicular, ये भी across है, and this is transverse along the plane but perpendicular to the moving energy. This is the direction of moving energy. Shivani, is that fine? You have fine, of course. All of this is there. You want a more graphic depiction? It's there on your YouTube and the rest. Correct? Yes. ये बन सकता है आपका 3-dimensional में XYZ plane. This becomes the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis. So if you know something of this kind, okay, but इसी से समझो ना, ये तो और क्यों लेके आ रहे हो मैथमेटिक्स? ठीक है, I am moving on from here. So नहीं समझ में आया? For now, remember this. You'll come back and you revise. You'll get a hang of it. Okay, so we start off. So this is what we have done. Now, what are the observations? What are the observations of the P and the S waves? And based on that, what are the conclusions? Observations क्या हैं? How do the P and the S waves behave? And based on that, what are the conclusions about the waves? Before I enter this one, I hope you remember this now, that there is a continent, there is a lithospheric layer, this is the upper part of upper mantle, this is the asthenosphere, and this is the boundary of upper mantle and the middle mantle, then the boundary of middle and the inner mantle, then the boundary of inner mantle and outer core, and then we have the inner core. Itna pata hai aapko? And this is approximately at this is 100 kilometers ka depth. Okay. This is at approximately 300 or 400 bolo, whatever. Okay. This is about 700-900 kilometer. This is about, yaad hai, 2900, and this is at about 4800. And I will insist that you know these numbers. Without the numbers, you'll always come up with a shallow diagram. It doesn't show confidence that you know the subject. Continent mein, you remember, there was one layer called as Conrad. This was at around 30 kilometers ka depth. Vary karta hai. In some cases 60 mein bhi hai, 50 mein, but on average about 30 kilometer depth mein hai, where the upper layers are felsic layers, and these are becoming relatively less felsic. These layers are what? They are more dense or less dense? Upper layers kya hoga? Less dense. These layers are relatively more dense. These layers are what type of rocks? Granites. Halka hai. Inside hai, but granitic layers hai. You come towards this, becomes a bit more relatively less felsic and a bit more of mafic. So from granite, you'll move on towards the diorite type of rocks. And so on. So now if I'm asking you, yeah, correct, it's called as Conrad. So if I ask you, say there is a P wave, compared to, say, now I'm naming it, say the layers are layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, 5, 6, and so on. So when I'm recording the wave for whatever reasons, where will the velocity be more? 1 or 2? Is move inside, कैसे जाएगा ये? And 2 में ज़्यादा होगा, कम हो velocity? ज़्यादा होगा. 1 is less, 2 is more. 3 में कैसा होगा? Even more. And remember, this is the Moho discontinuity. When crossing the Moho, it'll again shoot up very sharply because this is very, very dense. Okay. It comes down, crosses here. ये किस टाइप का लेयर है? Semi molten, rigid नहीं है. When crossing this, क्या होगा? It'll become fast or slow. It'll become slow. Now, ये एक problem है. Sir, you are saying density, okay, if increases, velocity will increase. If the rigidity increases, then also this will increase. Asthenosphere में problem ये है, it has high density, but it has lower rigidity. So why are you saying this matters and not this one? ठीक है? And that is a mathematical equation there. So it's like, it's like I got very good marks, maybe 90%. I went back home to celebrate and I saw that my dog has died. My emotions depend on 2 factors now. Marks bhi hai and my pet also. So what will I feel? Now this is something which is difficult to make a law on. कि कौन सा factor कहां पर काम करेगा? One area factor A भी है और B भी है. Okay. So know the exact behavior, then I must know the exact equation. Right? So when the waves are entering asthenosphere, it is so semi-molten that rigidity plays a more important role and not density. ठीक है? तो ये part आप mechanically याद रखेंगे. ठीक है? I hope that's okay now. So when this confusion happens, we don't use too much of physics brain here. We are geographers. In geography, we just want to know only as much we have to use for knowing the interiors of Earth. That's all. इसका क्या physics principle है? Definitely principle है, but that's beyond our geography scope. So layer 1, layer 2, यहाँ पर what matters is okay the density. When I come here, again matter density. यहाँ पर आते हैं जब the factor is now rigidity. Even if asthenosphere is more dense than this layer, but when I enter here, there is fall of rigidity, it becomes slow. Then again, okay, it'll pick up speed because ये dense भी है और इससे rigid भी है. It'll move very, very fast here. Okay. When the P waves comes here, it has picked up even more speed. So if I look at the mantle, say layer 3 को छोड़ दो. 3 is part of the lithosphere. So 4, 5 or 6 में, where will the density be least? Where will the velocity be least? 4, 5, 6 में, 4 में least होगा velocity. And 6 में होगा maximum. So we call this layer as low velocity zone. And we call this layer as high velocity zone. I'm comparing only, okay, the mantle layer. I'm not comparing mantle with this one here. So sir, ये तो low कह रहे हो, but ये तो और भी low है. Yes. But I'm comparing within the mantle. This is the low velocity asthenosphere and the inner mantle is high velocity. Okay. Now you enter the outer core. ये dense है कि less dense है? It's dense. इसका density है 7 to 9. इसका है 11. You come here, it's going to be 13. Very, very dense. But this is liquid form. So again, when crossing into this one, it is not density deciding. Again, what will decide is rigidity. So यहाँ पर the waves will again become slow. और अगर S wave होगा, यहाँ पर वो गायब ही हो जाएगा. S waves will come here and then they will disappear. P waves will continue, but they will become slow. But when the P waves enter here, they again become very, very fast. That's how the behavior. So you just have to know fast, slow, okay, very slow, very fast. With some numbers I'll give you. That's all. Okay. So in reality, The scholars must have known the velocity first, and then they have told us the layers. हम उल्टा कर रहे हैं. Okay, that I know the layers, I am understanding why the P and the S waves behave the way they are behaving. ठीक है? So P waves के लिए slow waves, a bit more faster, they become even more faster, they become suddenly slow. Okay, they again pick up speed, they become very fast. Okay, they are the fastest here in the inner mantle, and then they again become slow, and they finally become fast, and the same sequence ulta में repeat हो जाएगा. For the S waves, यहाँ तक just like the P waves, slow, a bit more faster, very fast, sudden drop, again increase, become faster and disappear. S waves will not cross the inner mantle and outer core boundaries. All fine here, all of you? बस इतना ही लिखना था आपको. आपके आंसर में इतना ही चाहिए हमें. How does the P and the S wave behave? At what depths of the interiors? Tell us about the structure of the interiors. Yes, correct. So yes. So sir, why can S waves pass through a ionosphere? तो मैं समझाया ना आपको. I'm saying semi-molten, but actually ये solid ही है. It is not a liquid layer. Yeah, thank you, Muskan. Right. Yeah, Rahul. This is solid. It's just that it is not a rigid solid. Okay, that's why the speed will drop down suddenly. All good? Okay. So now we'll write down the details, okay, one by one. So you could take it maybe as a table if you want to. Say if this is your page, अगर ये page है, maybe 1 or 2 inch यहाँ रखो, and remaining write some details here, and I'll tell you what this means. Some details here, what this means, and that's how we'll go about. ठीक है? To start with observations of the P and S waves and the inferences or the conclusions that we draw. ये अब heading दे दिया आप लोगों ने? To start off, number one. Initially, yeah, I'm dictating and you write down. Outer core is liquid. Liquid, a special type of liquid called as plasma state. Okay. Plasma state is a special condition when it's very, very hot and the electrons also have become loose. So plasma is a type of a liquid state. I will not go beyond that. Okay, इतना ही याद रखो, that's it. इसके आगे पता होता तो me and Abdul Kalam would have worked together. Okay, his bad luck. Okay, I didn't study as much. ठीक है? और his good luck. Okay, ठीक है? इतना ही काफी है. इतने में ही कुछ लोगों ने दम तोड़ दिया. इसके आगे okay, 2-3 जनरेशन जाएगा फिर. Okay. Point number 1. First point. Initial layers, both P and S waves are very slow. Initial layers, both P and S waves are very slow. P waves at approximately 5 kilometers per second and S waves at about 3 kilometers per second. P waves at 5 kilometers per second and S waves at 3 kilometers per second. Okay. The speed corresponds to granitic rocks. The speed corresponds to granitic rocks. And the P and S waves are called as PG-SG waves. They're called as PG and SG waves. A G for granite. ठीक है? Initially, the waves are very slow. Okay, P का दिया value, S का भी दे दिया value. The velocity is what we have for granites. This is the upper layer, and we call this as the PG-SG set of waves. On the margin, write down. जो margin बताया था मैंने, उसमें लिखो. Okay. The upper felsic layer up to Conrad discontinuity. The upper felsic layers up to Conrad, C-O-N-R-A-D, Conrad discontinuity till about 30 kilometers depth. Till about 30 kilometers depth. Okay? That's one. Number two. That's the first point. You wrote something and what this means. The second point. After 30 kilometers, after 30 kilometers, the P and the S waves pick up speed. The P and the S waves pick up speed. Okay. P at around 6 kilometers per second. P at around 6 kilometers per second. And S around 4 kilometers per second. 4 kilometers per second. Idhar likho, the deeper parts of continent. The deeper parts of continent, relatively less felsic rocks. The deeper part of continents which are relatively less felsic rocks. ठीक है? आपको ये डायग्राम मन में याद रखना है, ये वाला. What happens here? बता दिया. What happens here? बता दिया. The third point. Okay. PNS waves crossing the Moho discontinuity. The P waves crossing the Moho discontinuity. Okay. Both P and S waves become fast, very sharply. Both P and S waves become fast very sharply. P waves cross 7 kilometers per second. P waves cross 7 kilometers per second. None of the regular books that I know, they talk about S waves का speed hereafter. Let us also ignore it. ठीक है, so यहां पर बता दिया P कितना है, S कितना है, P कितना. इसके बाद जो है we'll only talk about the P waves, assuming कि S भी आसपास होगा, but exact value I never bothered checking. Okay, so 5, 6 cross, it is now crossing 7 kilometers per second. Okay, so on the side margin likho, this is the upper part of upper mantle. Upper part of upper mantle up to a depth of 100 kilometers. In the lithosphere. Depth of 100 kilometers in the lithosphere. Okay? Okay. अब क्या होगा? Okay. When crossing lithosphere, यहाँ पर velocities at these boundaries are as much as 7.8 kilometers per second. और क्रॉस करते ही it suddenly drops to around 7 to 7.3 kilometers per second. तो जो आपका डाउट था, the speed is less but still more than what we had here. So ये more high now is always relative. Understand that? Okay. So it is falling down, falling compared to what we had here. But this is still very dense. Okay. Denser than this one. That's why it is 7.3 K approximate the drop of velocity. Write down next one. Yeah, fourth या fifth क्या लिखे? Fourth वाला होगा शायद. Fourth is entering astrosphere. Oh, sorry. Beyond 100 kilometers. लिखो, write down. I'm dictating. Beyond 100 kilometers, there is sudden drop of speed. There is sudden drop of speed. And P waves drop from 7.8 kilometers per second. P waves drop from 7.8 kilometers per second to about 7.3 kilometers per second. 7.3 kilometers per second. Okay. Margin में लिखो, side में लिखो. The astrosphere, which is dense, Atmosphere density about 4-5 होता है. It is dense, but it is semi-molten and less rigid. It is dense, but it is semi-molten and it is less rigid. ठीक है? Next. Thereafter, next point, number 5. Thereafter, the speed of P and S waves consistently increase. Thereafter, the velocities of P and S waves consistently increase and can be as much as about 9 to 11 kilometers per second for P waves. Can be 9 to 11 kilometers per second in the inner mantle. Beyond 700 to 900 kilometers depth. Beyond the 700 to 900 kilometers depth. Okay. Likha apne, all of you? On the margin, write down the inner mantle with the densest mantle rocks. यहाँ पर density of mantle is about 9. Inner mantle with the densest mantle rocks and is called as HVZ or high velocity zone. It's called as the HVZ or the high velocity zone. And do mention astronosphere mention कर दो ऊपर में या fourth आपका mention is called as LVZ or low velocity zone. It's called as the LVZ or the low velocity zone. Okay, so slow, fast, even faster, drop speed, it keeps on increasing and becomes very fast here. So in this layer we call this as HVZ. यहाँ बोलते हैं हम इसको LVZ. हाँ बताओ संजीवनी, Zubair, tell me, what did you miss? लिखा आपने? The innermost layer of the mantle. ये 700-900 किलोमीटर के बाद में है. Beyond this, the densest rocks and the velocity of the speed of the P and S waves are the fastest for the mantle. So we call this as HVZ. 4 is the astronosphere. Astronosphere also called as the LVZ. All done? I hope now some of you have confidence कि हाँ सर dictate भी करेंगे. Okay, so some things required I will dictate. We don't need no Ishan. Okay, you can do without that. I said all regular books that I have read also, they don't mention the S waves. यहाँ पर S waves touch around 6 kilometers per second, but don't mention it. Okay, keep your memory for something else. Okay, so I'm done with the mantle now. Back to your notes. Point number 6, right? Point number 6. हाँ, middle mantle बस पास हो गया और क्या? Okay, लोग गुजरने थे, गुजर गए. अब आगे पहुंच जाओ आप. Okay, so that's okay. The next one, number 6. Beyond 2900 kilometers, the S waves suddenly disappear. The S waves suddenly disappear. While P waves continue, but with some drop in speed. The P wave velocity can drop to less than 9 kilometers per second. the P wave velocity can drop less than 9 kilometer per second. Yeah, so yahan par is keep on increasing. You come here, S wave disappears, and the P waves have again shown drop in the velocity. Okay, and the velocity can drop to less than 9 kilometer per second for the P waves. On the margin, write down. The outer core is dense, but it is fluid. The outer core is dense, but is fluid, and therefore transverse waves can't pass. Therefore, transverse waves cannot pass. Next, number 7. The P waves continue. The P waves continue, and they again pick up speed beyond 4800 kilometers. The P waves continue. They again pick up speed beyond 4800 kilometers. And the speed can be more than 12 to 13 kilometers per second. The speed can be more than 12 to 13 kilometers per second. Okay? So, on the margin write down. The inner core is densest at around 13.5. The inner core is densest at around 13.5. And also is solid iron nickel. And is also solid iron and nickel. I believe no issues there. आपको बस लिखना है slow, fast, drop, okay, increase, disappear, and the values for some amount of detailing. Yes, Dipanshu, all of that can be done, but that's not a part of our syllabus, so we'll ignore all of that. Okay? So that's about the detailing. Now, if you have brought your Savindra Singh textbook, अगर नहीं भी है कोई बात नहीं, you can see my page. अगर है तो निकालो आप, all of you. Page number 109. Okay. Which edition doesn't matter. Okay. The good thing is they don't change the text much. Font बड़ा छोटा कर देते हैं. So look for this page for this edition, page 109, more or less whatever you have. And can you see this now? Upper layer, chemical composition. दिख रहा है ये वाला page? Okay, so I'm just quickly marking it for you. You also can mark, and I'll recommend get your books. Okay, so PGSG waves दिखाई दे रहा है आपको? हाँ, तो 108 maybe. Ishan, in your book it could be 108. ठीक है, whatever. PGSG waves. Okay, PG approximately 5.4. I round that off to about 5. S waves, it says 3.3 kilometers per second. Okay, the upper layers are composed of granitic. Mila? As you go down, there's the intermediate layer is the lower part of the continent. The lower part mein the P and S waves. Okay, another set hai. And they have called it as a P star S star. ये लिख सकते हो आप. So back in note, beyond the Conrad layer, okay, the waves are called as P star and S star, and the velocity about 6-7 kilometers per second. ठीक है, ऐड कर लो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेयर। पॉइंट नंबर 2 जो था आपका, वहां पर द PGSG waves convert into P star S star. Kushtar, I do not know which book you are referring to. Okay, this is Geomorphology by Savindra Singh. If you are seeing some other book, okay, understandable कोई और पेज में होगा, otherwise page 108, 109 देखो, ठीक है? So beyond the Conrad layer, we call the PS waves as P star S star waves. उसके बाद there's not much description उसके बाद में, you go by the class notes thereafter. It talks about asthenosphere and so on. ठीक है? अच्छा, this, then ये एक डायग्राम है, पेज नंबर 110 और 111 whatever. ये डायग्राम देखो आप, okay? So the surface layers, this is S wave ऊपर में कम है, then increasing, okay, very sharp increase हो रहा है, is crossing 1000, मतलब it has crossed asthenosphere, okay. It is very, very fast in parts of the inner mantle, and then just before the outer core, S waves will fall and disappear dramatically. इसके बाद देखो S waves है ही नहीं, can see S waves here? Okay, so slow waves picks up speed, और जो variations हैं of asthenosphere not shown here, because scale उतना है नहीं आपका दिखाने के लिए. In general, okay, they are slow, pick up speed. In the mantle, beyond 1000 means it has hit the middle mantle. Okay, it has become very fast, it remains fast, and the S wave disappear. This is approximately around 3 something. In comparison, you have the P waves. P waves are faster. Okay, so less increase, a very fast increase in the inner mantle. The highest speed almost touching, okay, more than 11 यहाँ पर, almost 12 हो रहा है यहाँ पर, and then you hit the outer core, drop in velocity, it falls below 9, and then again it starts increasing. It increases, again increases like this. So beyond 4800 is the inner core. ये है 5000 kilometers, right? So यहाँ पर होगा 4800 kilometers. Okay, this is 3000. This is 2900 kilometers here. Beyond this, it increases steps, or it's very fast increasing here. Okay, so it crosses beyond 12 in these parts here. There's a diagram that you have to know. You need not know every bend, but आपको broad पता होना चाहिए how they are behaving. So I'm leaving this diagram on the screen. You draw a crude one, but draw the diagram, please. किताब है तो देख के बनाओ, otherwise see the board and draw the sketch. You need not draw every value in every curve, but broadly पता होना चाहिए that this is 2900 kilometers and this is approximately 4800 kilometers. जहां से फिर बढ़ना शुरू हो जाता है. Yes. So draw this, please, all of you. And for reference, it also shows we have the layers alongside. No scale, freehand. You will not use any tool for drawing. Only scale, pencil, and lot of faith in yourself. कि जो बनाओगे, okay, वही होगा जो बनाना चाहते हो. I'm always asked this, Sir, why don't you give us material for reading? Okay, my answer is, क्या कम मटेरियल है आपके पास ऑलरेडी पढ़ने के लिए? ओके, अब पढ़ना ही है तो स्ट्रेट किताब से पढ़ो. ऑल द मटेरियल आर कट पेस्ट. ओके, आपको बेवकूफ बनाया जाता है. You have your notes, you have your books. I'll tell the page numbers which you must read. My recommendation to all of you, I can see some of you there, try to practice writing in blank sheets. Okay, examination hall mein you'll get blank sheets alone. In this 1 year of coaching different classes mein, aapka aadat ban jayega fir writing on blank sheets. So don't use rule sheets. Blank sheets, draw 2 margins on both sides and you're on. Yes, Pragya, correct. This textbook is not to be read page by page. This is a reference book. आप उतना ही पढ़ेंगे at this first round, whatever I tell you. Then second, third round में whatever you need. And by the time you give your 7th attempt, you could have read the whole book. Okay? You decide what you must do. Exam निकालना है कि किताब पढ़ना है. The pages I tell you are good enough. Yes, the survey I took from all of you, starting today, next 3-4 days में all of you will get mail from my side as to what your preparation strategy must be. Okay, so I have done the analysis already last night. हम बैठे हुए थे करने के लिए, and we found very interesting trends. Okay, कि आप expectations कैसे हैं? ठीक है, fine, whatever it is. But my recommendations I'll give you कि आपका कैसा होना चाहिए strategy. So give me a couple of days more. You'll get some mails today. You have your mail ID, I'll send it across. And those who haven't done it, you can submit a survey. Okay, I'll give you my inputs of how to prepare. All done with this? तो आप कर लेना. नहीं कर पाए अभी तो you know the page number. You can do this back in your room. Okay, let's move ahead then. Okay, so back to your notes. Back to your notes now. So you now know how the waves behave in terms of their speed. Now, P and S wave का path क्या है? What is the path of the P and S waves? Okay. Now see, this is a property of any waves and even light for that matter. That when the waves are moving or even light energy moves, based on the density of the medium, the waves or light will bend. We call this as what? We call this as refraction. Okay, when waves move or any energy moves, wave बोल लो या energy बोल लो या फिर light waves बोल लो, whatever, depending on the density of the medium, the waves will start bending. We call that as refraction. Okay. Now for light, what happens? For light, this is there. Again, please don't say कि ये physics है. Okay. ये class 7th class का है. Okay. अब तब गोली दिया था तो अब फंसोगे लाइफ में. Okay. So don't see this as physics. And maybe a bit of common sense we can apply. Air, this is water. We call this as the normal at 90 degrees. If this is the light, okay, incident ray, air का density D है, water का density W है, dW is more than dA, the light will bend. Now, it should have gone straight. How does it go? It bends towards normal. Okay, the light ray will bend like this. Okay, so if you are moving from less dense towards more dense, the bending will be towards the normal. Okay, if you are moving from, so this is the light, say, if you're moving from more dense towards less dense, okay, it will move away from normal. Okay, so light path can always trace that way. नहीं, Priyambada, away इस case में होगा. When moving from more dense towards less dense. अच्छा. Now, if you know one more idea, the speed of light ज़्यादा किस में है? Air में है कि water में है? Okay, air में ज़्यादा है. Okay, just know this. Okay, so the speed of light in air is more. Why? How? फिर other issues बन जाते हैं. There is a dual property and all of that. Yeah, you're right, Bhumika. Okay, for now let's remember this. Now, what happens for P and S waves? अच्छा, density air का ज़्यादा है कि कम है? कम है. So light case में क्या है? Less dense medium, more speed. More dense medium, less speed. याद रहेगा आपको? But for P and S waves, which are mechanical waves, they're not light waves. इसमें क्या होगा? More dense means what? More speed. उल्टा हो जाता है. And less dense means less speed. Okay. So for light, I repeat, the property of light and mechanical waves also ulta hai. Okay. This is less dense, more dense. This is fast, this is slow. In case of mechanical waves, if this is having, I'm assuming, say this is a less dense and this is more dense, इस case में क्या होगा? When the wave is coming in, rather than moving inward, it will move outwards. Because the speed of mechanical waves in dense medium is more than the speed of light in the dense medium. So some people have a confusion. So light में होता है towards normal, mechanical waves away क्यों जाता है? Because the speed changes in terms of their medium का density. ठीक है? So if I have P and S waves and I find that while moving they are moving outwards, का मतलब क्या होगा? Okay, अगर density rho 1, density rho 2, ये क्या होगा? This will be more than rho 1. So I find that when the waves are moving, they actually are bending outwards. So that confirms the idea that as I go down, it becomes more and more dense up to, okay, the part of core. फिर उल्टे में चलेगा, it will again reverse. ठीक है? So I have confirmed कि density of interiors increases with depth. कैसे? Number one, I have seen the speed keeps on increasing. And second, I also have seen the waves keep on bending outwards. So ये जो confusion है, I guess some of you have a bit more of it, इसको पता नहीं है, उसको तो कोई issue भी नहीं है. उसके लिए यही, okay, पहला ज्ञान है. ठीक है? Those who know a bit of physics, you have a bit of problem. कि why light case में it was bending inward, in case of earth, why it's bending outwards. Okay, but वैसे in general, I treat all of you as same. It doesn't matter अब science or humanities हैं. Okay, because those who have done science, like me, some of you have made a mistake. ठीक है, engineers भी, हाँ sir, कुछ तो पढ़ा था. Okay, you know, Snell's law, बहुत बड़ा बात बोल दिया आपने. Okay, will not go that route at all. So आपको बस इतना याद रखना है that in case of mechanical waves, the waves bend outwards if the waves move through denser mediums. The wave will move inwards if they move through lighter mediums. Unlike light wave and its behavior. ठीक है? Just write down 2 lines. I'll come back and explain again अगर समझ में नहीं आया. Write down. No, life में ना, okay, कर्मा है. जो जो धोखा दिए थे स्कूल में, okay, सब घूम के आएगा. I love physics. I do not like history. मगर ले बेटा, history, GS paper 1. I like history. I can't tolerate mathematics. UP says, okay, take CSAT. Okay. I don't like science. Lo, you have got paper 1, also paper 3, environment geography. Okay, or environment aspects of GS. ठीक है, सब घूम के आता है. Okay. I don't like, okay, ethical issues. Okay. Paper 4 पकड़ा दिया. I don't want to speak at all. I'm an introvert. Interview पकड़ा दिया. Okay. And I hate teachers. Hello. Okay. Standing in front of you. कोई बात नहीं. Yeah, I don't like writing. कितना पेपर पकड़ाया? So it's karma getting back to you. अच्छा ठीक है. Oh yes, Karan. I'll adopt you. He says we love you. You are completely adopted. मैंने बच्चों को वैसे ही the kids at home they have disowned me. Okay. And my son almost said कि पापा अपना property अपने नाम कर दो हमारे. फिर आपको जो करना है करो. He is that smart. So Karan, I take you home then. Fine. Write down. P and S waves as mechanical waves. P and S waves as mechanical waves bend and refract. Bend and refract according to the density of the medium through which they pass. According to the density of the medium through which they pass. Next point. With increasing density, P and S waves, I repeat, P and S waves as mechanical waves, okay, they bend, they refract according to the density of the medium through which they pass. They bend, refract according to the density of the medium through which they pass. लिखा आपने? Let's write down. क्या लिखा? इस word क्या लिखा आपने? Let's write down. With increasing density, mechanical waves, okay, become faster. With increasing density, mechanical waves become faster. And therefore, they bend outwards. And therefore, they bend outwards. Within bracket, this is unlike light. This is unlike light that bends inwards towards normal. Is unlike light that bends inwards towards normal when passing into denser mediums. When passing into denser mediums. ठीक है, इतना काफी है. Okay, so I said unlike light that bends inwards, okay, where the density of water is more than air, in case of mechanical waves, the waves will bend outwards, okay, as they move from less dense towards more dense. That's all. If you want to draw a diagram, you can draw this diagram. You can remove this one and draw this diagram. For light, air towards water, okay, increase density, this is bending towards normal. ये है for light. For P and S waves, it's outwards when passing through denser medium. It bends outwards when passing through denser medium. हो गया? Main reason I said is the velocity. Light becomes slow in dense medium, whereas mechanical waves becomes fast in the dense medium. आगे लिखो. Okay. If we observe, next point, if we observe P and S waves, if you observe P and S waves, both have a path of bending outwards. Both have a path of bending outwards as they pass through the interiors of Earth. They both bend outwards as they pass through the interiors of the Earth. So look at the diagram of the S waves, and we'll draw a diagram of the P waves. I'm sure some of you have seen this. So we have core here. So earthquake was here. It starts, it bends outwards and comes out. It starts, it bends outwards and comes out. It starts, it bends outwards, becomes tangent, come out. Idhar bhi वैसे ही. It bends outwards, it bends outwards, it bends outwards and comes out. इसके बाद में the S waves can't cross, they disappear. They can't cross. So जहां पर tangent होगा उतना ये घूम के बाहर आ जाता है. Okay, so this is the diagram of the S waves. Okay, they keep on bending outwards till they become tangential, okay, to the outer core. उसके बाद में there is, okay, ये part में there is no S wave. There is no S wave. We call this as the S shadow zone. It's called as the S shadow zone. This diagram is there in your NCERT also, if you have opened up and seen class 11th wala kitab. Okay, the shadow zone. So yahan se there is no S waves anymore because they can't cross the fluid medium. And they come out and at an angle. Okay, so if I draw a perpendicular like this, and if I join with the center, I join this. तो ये जो एंगल है approximately 103-105 degrees है. So this angle corresponds to approximately 103 degrees, 105 degrees होता है. Okay, with the center. That's how you draw the angle. A straight line है, comes out where you join the center. ये angle, this angle is mentioned here as 103-105. And using trigonometry, they know that जहां पर ये घूम जाता है, this अगर ये radius है, okay, they can find the depth here. So this depth is what we know as 2900 kilometers. They have some geometry and they can calculate this. Okay, so S waves, they re-emerge at 103-105 degrees. When the waves come out, what's the effect? But again, depends on how powerful they are. They can cause earthquakes here also. Okay, हम उसकी बात नहीं, I'm talking about, I'm recording seismographs. Okay, so what is the reading there? So add one sentence to your notes. The S waves emerge at 103-105 degrees. The S waves emerge at 103-105 degrees, and that corresponds to a depth of 2900 kilometers. And that corresponds to a depth of 2900 kilometers. ठीक है? So that's about the S waves. Talk about the P waves now. P waves also have the same pattern. Again, you start here, they bend outward. Bend outwards means it is becoming more dense. Bend outwards. again becomes tangential and comes here. Again bend outwards, becomes tangential and comes out. This point is where we have the origin of the earthquake. It's called the earthquake focus बोलते हैं. Okay. And the same thing, यहाँ पर भी it comes out at 103, 105 degrees. Okay. But there's something more on this. यहाँ पे क्या होगा? The P waves hit here, they bend inwards, then they again bend outwards, they again bend outwards, okay, and then they come out here. They come here, they bend like this, different layers, and then they come out here. Okay, so यहाँ पर they've got a lot of variations here. There's a lot of bending here. The details of which we don't need. Just know the waves don't come out smoothly like this. They come here, they bend inwards, then they bend outwards, again they bend inwards, and then they come out. So in the process, we can find P waves here, but we will not have P waves for this part. We will not have P waves for this part here. This is called as the P shadow zone, and this is called as the P shadow zone. और ये वाला angle जो आ रहा है, approximately again 140, 139, in some books 150 also लिखा जाता है. हाँ तो ठीक है राजश्री, there are lot of layers here. Okay, there are variations here. You remember, you can draw some bends. Yes. ये वाला angle. Okay. Again, you draw a line here like this. You join with this. Re-angle again. Straight नहीं होगा because the densities vary. The waves will not go straight. They will bend. Okay. So draw the diagram. I'm drawing again for the benefit. That's the core. So bend out, bend outwards, bend outwards, bend outwards, bend outwards, bend outwards. Come here, bend this, then again this, then again this. You have this, it goes in, okay, then this. So you could have this as a diagram. It goes inwards, it goes outwards, again this, and then comes out. So your books might show this as one arc and then this, no problem. So all of these have lines, all of these have lines, okay. This is the P shadow and this is the P shadow. जब एंगल बोलते हैं, when I say angle is 103, इसका मतलब क्या है? ये कहां से मेजर कर रहे हो 103? What they do is this point, ये सेंटर है. They join this line. और ये vertical line है. The angle they write here is actually this angle. When they say that the wave comes out at, ये हर बुक में लिखा होगा 103 degrees or 5 whatever. इस एंगल का मतलब क्या है? Okay, it basically means ये सेंटर है, ये वर्टिकल लाइन है, you join this with this, जो ये एंगल है उसको लिखते हैं 103. Okay, I mean I say, okay, it has maybe come out say here. What I do this here, what I do here is I have this point, I join with this line, and this angle is 140, 139 or 150 whatever. ना लिखो, छोड़ दो ये सब. कौन सा हमें रैंक 1 चाहिए? मैं रैंक 2 से काम बन जाएगा. तो रैंक 2 वाले सब घटिया लोग, इतना ही लिखो. 102, 105, 140, 150 रेंज है. It varies. ठीक है? If you know this thing, fine, but इसमें थोड़ी short note लिखना है. Okay, from the point A, join the center, the vertical line, ना करना बच्चे. Okay, that is competition for me then. Okay, not for your aspirant cohort. All done? That's about it. Now 2 points up at. Now you tell me one thing. Why do we have S shadow? Why do we have S shadow? Because S waves cannot enter the core. Okay? Why do we have P shadow? Because P waves enter the core, but they get refracted. That's the point you must know. Write down. S shadow is because the S waves cannot enter, the fluid outer core, whereas P shadow is because the P shadow is because the P waves get refracted through the core. They get refracted through the core. So when they correlate, okay, the velocity and they correlate the bending, they have a fair idea about what the interiors are. Again, just know, ek aur samjho aap. This data that we have, it is still a very superficial idea about the Earth's interiors. And I'm sure there are more technical methods. और तब भी हम लोग बहुत कम जानते हैं what's inside. Like in every second year, they come up with a new discovery about the inside. Okay, so this is not the last word. This is one important step towards knowing what the Earth's interiors are, but definitely not the complete story about the interiors of the Earth. Okay? The possible question they can ask you, the last part. What is the Earth's structure? And how do the seismic waves, okay, prove the structure of the interiors of Earth? यही वाला possible question है. If the rest is a very basic idea about crust, mantle, core, and so on. Karan, you're right. Okay, when it passes through the normal, it passes right straight almost. But that's not the right one to discuss. Okay, उसमें फिर, if you know about Snell's law and all of that applies, for light at least. Okay, I'm done with this topic. Take up a fresh page. We'll discuss the next topic, continental drift theory. One of the most exciting concepts of geomorphology. Okay, and we must have heard these concepts in some way or the other. Okay, we'll do this a bit more depth. Yes, you're right. These sare topics are part of GS also. Okay, the physical part of GS is same as optional course. Okay, so मैं यहाँ पढ़ाऊँ ना पढ़ाऊँ, आपको तो पढ़ना था as a part of GS. So this will help you ground the concept a bit more better. And they do ask questions in the GS. Yes, same concepts. The continental drift theory. Fundamentally, now you can listen to me first for 2 minutes. Fundamentally, we're trying to answer something about the crust of the Earth. Okay, interiors तक idea हो गया, चलो ठीक है, crust है, mantle है, core है, atmosphere and so on. The idea now we're trying to explore is the surface of the Earth है, where we have oceans, where we have continents, and the landforms of the oceans, the landforms of the continents. कहीं mountains हैं, कहीं cracks हैं, कहीं rift valleys हैं, कहीं volcanoes हैं, कहीं earthquakes हैं. How do they happen? Okay. So while I know about the interiors, something I have idea, how can I relate that with what's happening outside the Earth's surface? Okay. Head down, around here. The drift theory, in short में you can mention as CDT. Okay. The CDT or the drift theory is among the first theories. The drift theory is among the first theories that tried detailing the features of the Earth's surface, and how they were formed. The features of the Earth's surface and how they were formed. Put a hyphen, put a dash, hyphen. The continents, comma, landforms like rift valleys and fold mountains. The continents, features like rift valleys and fold mountains, comma, the ocean crust, and the phenomena like earthquakes, volcanism, and mountain building. So what I'm doing now is, I'm trying to understand how Earth's surface became what it became. Surface में क्या क्या है? Continents हैं, oceans हैं. The surface has volcanoes. The surface has rift valleys. The surface has earthquakes, and we have very interesting features called as fold mountains. The fold mountains, I'll come back again. These have been one of the biggest mysteries of geophysics. Very interesting. Fold mountains are the tallest mountains of the world. And they are softest rocks, sedimentary rocks. And interesting that they have marine origin. Himalayas, almost 9 kilometers high. And to say that ये कभी पानी के अंदर में था, is very amusing for us. And we knew this for a long time. It's not that I know it now. Right from the 1920s, early parts, we knew that the fold mountains are formed from the sediments of the oceans. ये कैसे हुआ? How did the sediments of the oceans compile up and become mountains like Himalayas? And this is not one event alone. These are massive mountain ranges right across Eurasia, starting from parts of Spain, right up to Thailand. We have the system. North America, South America, North से Alaska से लेकर the tip of Argentina, a continuous mountain range है. It's not an isolated event कि एक आध जगह हो गया. You find this across the earth. So fold mountains have been very, very intriguing features and much studied features. So you wanted somebody to explain कि बनते कैसे हैं, how are they formed. Okay, next point right now. Next point. The earliest concept about the Earth's surface. The earliest concept about the Earth's surface was the concept of permanency of oceans and continents. Was the concept of permanency of oceans and continents. So what does the idea of permanency mean? The oceans ऐसे ही हैं from the beginning. They are permanent. They have not changed. That's how they are. Okay. Continents ऐसे ही हैं from the beginning. Since the earth formed, ऐसे ही continents हैं. It's like, think about human beings. One theory says, human beings have always been like this. God made man, okay, and man originates, and that's how he always has been. Other theory says no. Man is a product of evolution. Okay, they were marine life forms. They become amphibians. They become reptiles. They've evolved into mammals. They become apes, and from the apes we have the Homo sapiens sapiens. So it is, our origin is not permanent the way we think. Okay, तो ये debate रहा है कि do we study things as a consequence of this permanency concept कि ऐसा ही हमेशा है. Earth was always like, God said, let there be earth, and there was earth. Okay, and this says no, earth was probably a nebula. The nebula contracting slowly, gradually into some planet. It starts becoming colder, becomes harder, has water, and then we have the earth the way we have it. This always has been debate, the permanency versus the change model, right? The oldest model was the permanency model. The earth has oceans and continents the way they are today, always. Head down. This permanency model has been challenged. This permanency model has been challenged. Okay. And one of the first theories to do so, was the continental drift theory. It has been challenged कि ऐसा नहीं है. Earth and the Earth's surface have changed. One of the first theory to do so was the continental drift theory. Achha. Next slide now. Next point. The first version, or you can say don't say first, or be there. So one of the early versions of the drift theory was given by Taylor in 1908. One of the early versions of the continental drift theory was given by Taylor in 1908. He had said four things. He had said there was an ancient continent called Pangaea. Okay. The Pangaea broke up into two parts, Laurasia and Gondwana land. Laurasia also called as Angara land. Taylor says there was an ancient continent called as Pangaea. Pangaea is the English word. Pan means all. Pandemic. Okay. Panoramic means all. Gea as in geo, as in earth. All earth, as in all land. There was an ancient continent called as Pangaea. Pangaea was something like a super continent. Okay. It broke up in two parts, Laurasia and Gondwana land. Okay. The Laurasia and Gondwana land collided. They broke up and then they collided. They collided to form the east-west continuous mountain range of Eurasia. It broke up to form two continents, and the two continents then collided. They collided to form an east-west continuous mountain range, the Eurasian fold mountain range. The Eurasian fold mountain range. And these fold mountain ranges, they are, he said, they are uplifted marine sediments of the Tethys Sea. They are the uplifted marine sediments of the Tethys Sea. I'll explain some bit of this. Yeah, F.B. Taylor, correct, Rajat. Okay. Taylor, his full name was F.B. Taylor, Frank Bursley Taylor, correct. F.B. Taylor's. So, uplifted marine sediments of Tethys Sea. So, what he's telling us is, this is the earth here, It was a very large one called as the Pangea. The Pangea broke up. The northern part was Laurasia or Angara land. The southern part was the Gondwana land. और बीच में जो gap रह गया, this was the Tethys Sea. And then for some reasons, okay, these two pieces collide. They collide Laurasia, they collide Gondwana, and then this sediments बीच में squash हो गया. Okay, it's like collision, beach mein is a lot of squash sediments. And this is what became the Eurasian Fold Mountain, a part of which is Himalayas, a part of which is the mountains of Afghanistan, of Iran, parts of Europe, parts of Spain. It becomes a long mountain range. Okay, Eurasia from the north collides with the Gondwana, the Angara land from the north collides with the Gondwana land of the south. Very simple. I'm sure it was much, much longer, but with 4 or 5 points is what he's telling us. And I had a fourth point. According to ये diagram बना लो. Okay, fine. So diagrams you should draw very quickly, small sketches to illustrate what you want to say. This was the ancient Pangea land. The Pangea broke up into Laurasia and Gondwana land. And this, he said, this breaking up जो हुआ था, the breakup happened around, around 300 to 400 million years ago. The breakup happened around 300 to 400 million years ago, and the collision happened around, around and after, 70 million years ago. We call these times as Cretaceous times. It happened during and after 70 million years in a time called as Cretaceous, Cretaceous, in the Cretaceous times. रजत, अभी कोई छेड़छाड़ नहीं, इतना ही लिखो पहले. अरावलीज कहाँ से आया, मेरे गांव का माउंटेन कहाँ से आया? Okay, no questions. अभी टेलर साहब बोल रहे हैं, बोलने दें इनको आप. No curiosity till I allow you to do so. Cretaceous. Okay. Say it happened around and after. पैसा दियो सब लिख पाओगे. ठीक है. Around and after. After the Cretaceous times. And this is approximately around, I said, 70 million years and later. Yeah, Cretaceous starts even earlier, but he talks about this time. All good here? The fourth point, according to Taylor, the continents move. ये जो टूट गया, ये अलग हो गया, they again come back and collide. The continents are moving. According to Taylor, the continents move, they interact and collide. And all related to two forces. All related to two forces. One is the gravitational or the tidal pull of sun and moon, the gravitational and the tidal pull of sun and moon, and the other is a spin of the earth because of gravitation, tidal pull of sun and moon, and a spin of the earth. Okay. Together, they force an imbalance. They force an imbalance between the center of gravity and the center of buoyancy of the floating continents. Together they force an imbalance between the center of gravity and center of buoyancy of the floating continent. देखा आपने? Imbalance between CG as center of gravity and the center of buoyancy. Buoyancy is related to flotation forces. Okay, buoyancy, center buoyancy of floating continents. Now, one suggestion to all of you. Even if you have some interest in physics, please don't look at what he wanted to tell us, because ये total गलत बोल रहे हैं. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं. Swami Nityanand, I inside me, inside you, and then again me. उसको समझने का भी कोशिश नहीं किया जाता है. Okay, he talks about conscious matter, time, conscious. खत्म होने के बाद में scratching head. क्या क्या बोल गए? So don't even ask me. Forget about searching for it. ठीक है? This is a wrong concept. God knows what he was telling us. Okay, it's entirely a wrong idea. But these terms he had used, सुनने में लग रहा है कि कुछ बड़ा ही बोल रहे होंगे. Okay, this was Taylor's idea. So they will not ask you Taylor's theory, but you should know that some of the ideas which Wegener gave us are actually Taylor's ideas. And this is okay, a progressive evolution of a concept. It's like, tomorrow I find something different. It's not that ki I will ignore what was told before me. Usse bhi uthayenge kuch, some improvise on that, develop it, and then I have an idea. Somebody takes my idea, I develop it, improvise it, I have another idea, and it goes on. So the origins of lot of ideas which Wegener gave us was inspired by the concept of Taylor. Okay? So take a fresh page, give a heading, just 2 more minutes. I'll introduce and then we'll move on. I'm very happy today, Teacher's Day, right? Okay. So when I'm happy, we celebrate in different way. Okay. Yeah. 2 minutes. Achha, theek hai, okay. So give a heading, Continental Drift Theory of Alfred Wegener. Continental Drift Theory of Alfred Wegener. Your syllabus doesn't say this. It only says the drift theory, that's all. So how we interpret is entirely our choice. The Continental Drift Theory of Alfred Wegener. Okay. He gave his theory. He was a German. He wrote in German 1912 mein diya tha. Then controversies, the book gets translated, and it became popular 1920s mein. And it also got highly criticized. Okay. In fact, after publishing this book, in few years itself, the theory was discarded and Wegener was called as a madman. He died a very unhappy, because he was a scientist. Okay, without any proper study analysis, they simply dismissed him. ईशान, आपने तो उनका प्रोफेशन चेंज कर दिया. टेलर, T-A-Y है. ठीक है? हाँ, so he's a geophysicist. बाकी काम करते होंगे at his convenience. Okay. So others are guessing and they've got it right, more or less. आपने क्या बोला? Okay. So now, 3-4 things. The old idea of permanency concept has now been challenged. Yes, continents and oceans, they are not permanent. Why do you say so? Why do you say so? One is, Taylor has some theory. And before Taylor, after Taylor also, there have been many observations. Observations, some of us know about. Okay, this man who said that the coastlines of South America and that of Africa, they seem to match. Okay, ये बहुत लोगों ने ऑब्जर्व किया है. Okay, this was observed by a very famous English man called Francis Bacon. This man was also a literature guy, wrote books, essays. Okay, this was also observed by, if you know this man, okay, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, okay, the man who discovered the electricity in the lightnings. Okay, some of us may have, yeah. So these coastlines of South America and Africa, they match. So if you look at the coastline, okay, there is some match between them. Okay, so this part can fit here, this part can fit here, this part can fit here. This is called as the jigsaw fit. Jigsaw fit between the continents. Ye observed tha. What we also observed was that there is some similarity between the rocks across the oceans. Ek baat bataya, remember, rocks are not minerals, remember? Rocks are what? They're aggregates. So if I have a rock in America, I have a rock in Europe, and beach mein Atlantic Ocean hai, okay, this rock and this rock should not be same. Right? Itna dur hai, and rocks are not, okay, minerals. But you find that this rock of America and Europe, isme bahut similarities hai. Right? So that was one, okay, discovery that a man called as Snyder, again a German man, he was studying the coal fields. He said the coal fields, coal is a rock. The coal fields of America in parts of Appalachian Mountains are very similar to the coals of UK, Britain. Okay, Pennine coals hain, bahut similarities hain. Then somebody said not just coal, the rocks of Brazil, okay, and the type of minerals found there, खासकर gold in Brazil, very similar to the gold found in parts of Africa. So if this is Brazil, and that's Africa here, okay, so that's your equator. This is Ghana, country called Ghana here. Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, यहाँ पर gold मिलता है. And we have parts of Brazil, यहाँ पर भी gold seams हैं. These two gold seams are very similar. The rocks in parts of, okay, this part here and this part, यहाँ पर Congo है, Angola है. These rocks here are very similar to the rocks here. Okay, and they are across thousands of kilometers of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, सिर्फ shape match नहीं कर रहा है, rocks also match. Like they must have been part of the same system. Now they are probably broken apart. It's not a coincidence that the match is like this. Okay, so this man called Snyder, S-N-E-I-D-R, he discovered this. इसके अलावा there were a lot of studies called as fossil studies. They studied the fossils of different life forms. So ये सब उठाकर, okay, Wegener says, okay, Taylor is saying something, and there are others who also have said something differently. His brilliance is ये सब एक साथ जोड़ के इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं. So Wegener actually was not a geologist. Wegener is not a geomorphologist भी नहीं है. He is a climatologist. He is studying climate of the world. Climate को पढ़ने के लिए you study climate indirectly. You study climate by studying rocks. You study climate by studying life forms. Okay, you study the patterns of past temperatures by studying what type of life forms must have lived. So in studying the climate, he studies all of these things, and he says, "अरे ये तो अलग theory बन रहा है. This looks like a possibility which Taylor had said, but Taylor had not given good evidences in support." This man says, "Okay, now this looks like a proper." So idea of Taylor was more like an hypothesis. Okay, With evidences, it now becomes a proper theory, which Wegener called as the continental drift theory. Okay? So, 2 lines likho, write down that Wegener, Alfred Wegener, okay, used various evidences. Wegener used various evidences along with some of the postulates, postulate, along with some of the postulates of Taylor, F.B. Taylor, along with postulates of F.B. Taylor, to suggest a proper continental drift theory. To suggest a proper continental drift theory, okay, of how continents must have moved and with what consequences. Within brackets, likh lo, Wegener used a diversity of observations. Wegener used a diversity of observations that included number 1, the observations of matching coastlines of South America and Africa. The evidences of matching coastlines of South America and Africa. Okay. Observed by, I said, Francis Bacon, and also by Benjamin Franklin. Francis Bacon was a 19th century writer, scholar, philosopher, and Benjamin Franklin, an American, Benjamin, Benjamin Franklin. Okay. That was one observation he has seen. Other observations of matching coal types. Observations of matching coal, C-O-L, coal types. Okay. Of Appalachians in US. Of Appalachians in the US and the Pennines of Britain. Appalachians in US and Pennines of Britain. This was observed by German, I said, as observed by Snyder, S-N-E-I-D-R, by Snyder. And third observation was the fossil evidences. Just a bracket mein, don't detail right now. So Wegener developed his theory from the ideas of Taylor plus the ideas of observations borrowed from Francis Bacon, Benjamin Franklin, Snyder, and the fossil studies, and he puts them together into the theory of continental drift. Next point, put a star mark and write down. The brilliance of Wegener was that he was able to correlate. Unrelated observations and studies, unrelated observations and studies into a comprehensive theory supported with evidences, into a comprehensive theory supported with evidences. Wegener himself was a climatologist. Trying to study the climatic history of the Earth. Trying to study the climatic history of the Earth. Now, for your quick reading back in your room at your convenience again, once you have, one thing I'm suggesting to all of you, dekho, maintain this sequence. Yeah, I'm done, okay? Just a recommendation here. When you are juggling with too many things, okay? Class hai, probably are part of a GS class also, current affairs bhi karna hai, and a whole lot of things. Let your preparation follow a priority-based study, which should be done first. So, मुझे ये काम भी करना है, ये भी करना है, ये भी करना, all the work. ये जब भी होगा possible when you develop a thread कि इसमें से ये सबसे important है, इसमें से ये important है, इसमें से ये important है, time नहीं हो रहा है तो इसको छोड़ देंगे, कोई बात नहीं. This is the mantra of your preparation. Okay. So in your list of priorities, you follow this sequence. Sequence is class and class notes. ये सबसे पहला काम है. Second work, class notes को convert करो into summaries. Class and class summaries, this is a daily work. If you are doing anything by skipping this, it's a waste of time. Sir, मैं ये कर नहीं पाया. Why? Because I had some assignments of answer writing. I couldn't do this. Why? Because sir, I was reading newspapers. I couldn't do this. Why? Because मैंने और 2 कोर्स ज्वाइन कर रखा है. It's of no use. तो अगर आप कोई भी कोर्स में हैं, okay, and to the extent I'll say, even if you don't understand what is being taught, तब भी आप ये काम करोगे. It's like, my parents and your parents also have always taught you कि आप किसी को भी देखोगे, सबसे पहले आप विश करोगे नमस्कार. वो आदमी पसंद आए, नहीं पसंद आए, पहचान वाला हो, नहीं पहचान वाला हो. Okay, the संस्कार that we have is greet them politely. उसके बाद बाकी जो करना है करो आप. So this is the first work. And this is daily. इसके बाद आता है the books and the pages as recommended. And this work is not daily work. Probably once in 4 or 5 days. And I'll tell you what to read. Okay? Sir, I'm doing case study and I'm not doing this. Useless. Okay, you will not gain from this. That's why books reading, I will not tell you every day. Once in 4 or 5 days, 6 7 days, you bring the book, I'll tell that to you and you will mark the pages. So only after you have done this, फिर आप क्या करोगे? जो book से पढ़ोगे ना, it's like, I know the concept, समझ में आ गया, summary बन गया. Now I open the book for some more extra clarity, maybe some extra points जो sir ने बताया नहीं, and maybe a good diagram which I can copy from the book. So reference books का अलग से summary नहीं बनाया जाता. Reference books content are added to either summary or the class notes, or whatever you think you will use in the exam time. एग्जाम टाइम में बिलीव मी आप नोट्स खोल ही नहीं सकते. Okay, by the time the course gets over, okay, you will have 3-4 huge booklets. Exam में आप वो पढ़ नहीं पाओगे. What you can read is the summaries you make. So my recommendation is the book content add in your summaries. So it's like this. Okay, when I make summaries only on the first page. I will not make summary on the page behind. इसको मैं खाली रखते हैं. So whatever I summarize here, related to this, I will add on this side. And you try to innovate on this. Some of them, okay, what I would do sometimes is, I'll make summary here, I'll make this part blank. I'll make summary here, I'll make this part blank. So what I must add, इस चीज का मैं यहीं add कर दूंगा. Some can make summaries पूरे पेज में and add पीछे, और no space अलग से. I can add book reference with paste-ons. अलग से लिखो और जहां जरूरत है वहीं पर staple कर दो. So these innovations will happen once you start working on this. ठीक है? मुस्कान, आंसर राइटिंग इज अ बहुत देर वाली बात है. अभी लड़का पसंद कर लो. ठीक है? बिटिया का नाम क्या होगा, कहां पढ़ने जाएगी, उसका ससुराल कैसे होगा. आई एम अज्यूमिंग कि फर्स्ट स्टेप इज get married. Of course, you have a choice not to. Okay, world has changed there. ठीक है? Answer writing is a very far off thing. और आप क्लास में देखेंगे. How many of you come to your workbook sessions also? And you all know what you are doing more or less. Summary, book reading, workbook sessions. Okay, then additional content. फिर हम बात करेंगे about answer writing. Yes, the same technique applies for GS also. Any class you do. Okay, ये अलग बात है. Others don't tell you as frequently. और मेरा compulsive disorder है. Okay, I have a disorder. I must talk about synopsis. मुझे खाना हजम नहीं होता घर जाकर. ठीक है? And 2 days ago, I taught that to my son. And he was saying, Papa, अच्छा ऐसे पढ़ाते हैं. He didn't look very happy. Okay, but ठीक है. So I will remind this to you every second day. Okay, initially आप guilty हो जाओगे, फिर उसके बाद you will become desensitized. अरे बोलने दो. ठीक है? So okay, so quickly, the topics I have told you. I'm assuming synopsis is done now. Okay, so what you will refer to is पेज नंबर 105. या अभी कहां खत्म हुआ है? 2 मिनट. अभी तो और 1 मिनट बचा हुआ है. चैप्टर 5, पेज नंबर 105. पेज 105. So sources of Earth's interiors. Okay, artificial source, natural source. Some idea about density of the Earth. Density, okay, rocks का 3 है, 3.5 है. Earth as a whole is 5.5. Okay, core is 11. So some idea of density variations. And quickly pick up the points. Not one word पढ़ रहे हैं. Go into fast reading. Pick up the keywords. Okay, the density of the Earth is the highest. At the core is the highest of all the Earth. Okay, some idea here. Turn the page. You have something on temperature discussions. Temperature, पहले depth में क्या होता है? The summary of temperature pattern is here. Asthenosphere, molten, 1000 में round off किया है. Somewhere 1000, 2000 round off किया है. You go deeper towards the mantle, about 4000 and so on. This 4 points, page number 106 है मेरे book में. In your book maybe 105. Okay. The summary of, okay. Then there's a small write-up on the source of the heat of the interiors. कहां से आया heat? Radioactive heat. There's gravity force heat, thermal heat. Okay, some description. Just pick up enough to enrich your point. That's all. No line by line reading in these. Then you come to page 108, 106, 7, whatever it is. So evidences of seismology. Read the whole thing. What are primary waves? What are secondary waves? What are surface waves? Okay. Then it talks about how the waves behave here. Okay. Very fast reading. Okay. And then observations I told you. The first set of waves are PS waves, PG, SG waves, P star, S star waves. Bataya aapko? Some points are here. The diagram of how the P and the S waves behave. एक ही diagram बता दिया है. Okay. Then I told you about the Earth's interiors. Remember Edward Suez? Okay. I gave you in tabular form. So Edward Suez ka idea, Sial Sima, is page 109, 1010. Sial Sima. What did Arthur Holmes tell us? Arthur Holmes का मैंने ये model नहीं बताया है. There's another write-up in page 223. वहां पर लिखा है ग्रैंडियोराइट, इकोलगाइट, वहां लिखा है, not here. I've taken that model, page 223. But the most important model was the model of Van der Graat. याद आ रहा है? So I just picked this up of about 2 pages, gave you a small summary in a table. And I conveniently manipulated the numbers also. आपको याद होना चाहिए a broad idea. So without going into details of every decimal points there. Okay. You can read page 1112. Some details of the mantle, the core. Page 1112, the diagram here. So कुल मिला के about 5-6 pages पढ़ना है. And this reading must not take you more than half an hour to 45 minutes. It's very important to maintain some timelines to your work. Okay. Sir, मेरा खत्म नहीं हो रहा है 1 hour में, then leave it. जितना पढ़ा, move on then. Okay. If you do not do that, okay, then you are in trouble. ठीक है? So summary, so your target must be, the summary writing must not go more than 1 hour. Maybe you are taking right now 1.5 hours, but that's a measure कि ज़्यादा time हो रहा है. Ideally, it must not take more than 30 to 40 minutes. If your class attention is sharp, it will not take more than that. And reading of the books once in 4-5 days, maybe 1 hour maximum, and then you're on. Nishant, not in this session, maybe in some other session. Okay, Nidhi, whatever suits you, but kitab dekhna important hai. Okay, I'll continue tomorrow. We will continue, yes, with Wegener theory. Bye-bye, all of you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the wishes. Thank you. You have a case study today. क्या बताया गया था? Yes? So 2:30, right? 2? So 2, ठीक है. So I'm ending this. You can log back for the case study. Yeah, all of you. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. But this is Urvashi and Uj.